What's shaking, bacon? So in today's video, we're going to discuss why I'm not paying as much attention to calories as others might, because some people are all about calories. Calories first. You want to make sure, since you're on an eating plan, you want to measure all your calories in, calories out, count your macros. Now, I think I've already proven why I'm not paying attention to calories first, and it's because my resting metabolic rate, it's showing at over 2,200 calories at rest. After my activity and my exercise routine, it's showing that I should have about mid 3,000s for calories. Now, if I'm having, as I did through most of September, on average 5 or 6 pounds of meat a day, that is adding up to about 6,000 calories, and sometimes I even had more. Why is it I didn't put on weight? Because it's not only about calories, it's about balancing hormones. So how this works is there's two basic schools of thought when it comes to managing weight. And I'm not trying to manage weight as much as trying to increase my metabolism. So that's why calories are off to the side right now. So when it comes to counting calories, that's the one school of thought, and we're gonna focus on that for a second. So based on calories, you're supposed to have so many calories, and if you want to lose weight, you want to go in a 500, most people do a 500 calorie deficit. So if you're allowed to have 2,000 calories a day, Weight Watchers used to do something like this, and lots of doctors will still follow this, and lots of people will blindly believe this is the way and only way to go. And it's counting calories and count your macros. So you'll subtract 500 calories from your total until you get to the desired weight. And then after that, you will bring that 500 calories back into your routine. But the problem with that is people don't always pay attention to the kind of calories they're getting, and not all calories are equal. So the big argument comes up there. People will argue, a calorie is a calorie. A calorie is a unit of measurement, and certain foods are certain amount of calories, and that you want to make sure no matter what that you just get your total, and that's all you're worried about. So if I'm allowed to have 1,500 calories in a day, if I'm trying to lose weight, which is a ridiculously small amount for anybody, even a 5'7", 150-pound woman or 200-pound woman, it's not enough calories. You're gonna starve yourself while you're doing it. You're gonna hate every moment of doing that. But it's a great maintenance, in all fairness. It's a great maintenance routine. But if you're trying to lose weight, you're already out of balance. I don't think that's the best way, at least for me, to find balance. So when you're losing all that weight and you're in that caloric deficit, they don't always pay attention to your macros, how much protein you're supposed to be getting, how much fat, and how many carbs. If they pay attention to those macros, lots of these eating regimes out there, they only worry about calories, and they're not worried about the macros. Well, the macros are really important, and we want to make sure that you're getting a high protein diet, because if you're trying to get a gram of protein per lean muscle mass, in my case, I have about 200 pounds of lean muscle mass. That's 200 grams of protein, but this is what's really important to keep in mind. And I'll talk more about this in an upcoming video. The older you get, the more protein you need. So if I'm turning 47 soon, I'm trying to shoot for 200 calories of protein, or grams of protein in a day. Right there is 2 pounds of lean ground beef. So that's quite a bit of calories right there. So if I want to build muscle, I got to give myself more protein. So I want to build muscle as I lose weight eventually. So it's important that I'm getting, at least for me, 3,000 calories a day, because I want to get more than my 1 gram of protein per lean body mass, because I'm older and I don't absorb protein as well. And the older you are, the more protein you need. So if I want to absorb that 1 gram of protein, I have to have maybe 1.2, 1.3 or 4 grams of protein to absorb that 1 gram, because I'm not going to absorb all the protein I'm putting in my body because of my age. It's just how we age. So if I'm looking at least 3,000 calories a day because I'm having 3 pounds of, say, lean ground beef, that's good to sustain me. But I also know that I'm not using enough intake of food if I'm not going to the bathroom, because I'm using it all. So that means I'm probably in a bit of a deficit because I do want to have a little bit of a surplus. So if it means having 4,000 calories a day, then it means having 4,000 calories a day. So I find I actually need more than that to go to the bathroom. I need to have 5 or 6 pounds of meat a day to go to the bathroom. And especially on leg days, I can't get away with a 3,000 or 4,000 calorie a day diet. So I want to be at least 3,500 calories a day just to meet my nutritional needs. So why is it I'm having 6,000 calories a day and my weight stayed the same? So for the last 3 weeks of September, I was having closer to 6,000 calories a day. I didn't put on any weight. I put on 0.4 of a pound. So this is where the hormone issue comes in. So that's the other school of thought. If your hormones are unbalanced, you're not going to be able to lose weight well or at all. So you might even put on weight. So when I was 19, I developed hypothyroidism. And with that, I put on 40 pounds in 3 months. That doesn't matter what you're eating, because I was eating no different than I was for the last 4 or 5 years before that. And I had lost a lot of weight doing that because I made my metabolism white hot from exercising, doing the circuit training routine for about a half hour a day. And it sped up my metabolism so much that eventually the fat just melted off and I was keeping the muscle. So I was a pretty athletic looking young man. And that's the goal, right? So I was having everything under the sun. There was no shortage of food going in my mouth when I was a teenager, losing 10 pounds a month. Think about that, 10 pounds a month. And I was maintaining or building my muscle at the same time. So by the time I got down to a really lean 200-pound kid, I had wide shoulders, a thick chest and back, and I was doing a lot of leg extensions and leg curls. So I had thick upper thighs. I had good calves because I was doing a lot of boxing. So I was bouncing up and down a lot. And it was really good for me. I kept a lot of my muscle. And that stayed with me all the way through when I was 19 until I developed hypothyroidism. And when I was 19, by the way, or almost 19, when your hormones are in balance, you're going to burn all those calories. It's no different than a friend of mine I used to go to buffets with. He was a 160-pound guy. I was a 260-pound guy. We'd have the exact same amount of food. We worked out together. We did martial arts together. We did weightlifting together. We were both active guys. He could eat just as much as I could. He never put on a pound. He's still the same size now that he was 30 years ago. And I fluctuated with my weight all along, and my hormones were out of whack. When somebody's overweight, their insulin is out. It's as simple as that. I don't care if you're 300 pounds overweight or 30 pounds overweight. Your body's storing fat. It's holding on to fat. Why is it holding on to fat? You probably have too much sugar in your diet or carbohydrates. So when you have too much sugar and carbohydrates in your diet, as I mentioned before, your liver says, wait a minute, we can't manage this. So there's blood sugar is too high. So we're going to turn it into fat, and the liver raises your cholesterol and you start storing fat. So your hormones go more out of whack. The heavier you are, the more your insulin is out of whack. And there's other hormones to be aware of. In my case, my thyroid hormone is a serious issue. Glucagon is another hormone to pay serious attention to. If you want to learn more about this, read the books by Dr. Fung on the obesity code and intermittent fasting. And he explains this really well. When you want to access your fat stores, you have to lower your insulin. Well, there's a few ways to lower your insulin. That's a hormone. Insulin's a hormone. Lots of people know the word insulin, but they don't realize it's a hormone. You can fast, and eventually your blood sugar goes down, which lowers your insulin, which allows you to access your fat as fuel. You become fat adapted by cutting out carbohydrates or cutting drastically down on sugar and carbohydrates. And then your body can access fat because it lowers your insulin, because that lowers your blood sugar. Or you can exercise. You exercise and it lowers your blood sugar, which lowers your insulin, which allows you to access fat as fuel. You exercise too long though, and your body's gonna start burning the wrong type of fuel. And that's why we do short workout. You're not gonna go to a gym and look like the next guy who's ready to compete for Mr. Olympia or Mrs. Olympia doing what I'm doing. I'm paying attention not so much to calories and macros, though I am paying attention to it. It's just I'm not leading with that because I'm trying to manage my insulin and hormones. So I want to put on muscle and lose fat. So what I learned from my last bod pod is even though I'm getting 6 pounds of meat in a day, 5-6 pounds, sometimes a little bit more, what I want to do is I want to lower that a little bit because I would like to lose some fat, but that's not the goal of this. But while I'm doing this, if I can still put on muscle and bring my body fat down a little bit more, then I'm killing two birds with one stone. But I don't want to lose my body fat at the cost of putting on muscle. So eventually, when I speed up my metabolism, the fat just will melt off. And that's what happened to me when I was a teenager. That metabolism finally got so white hot that I was just burning calories left, right, and center like a regular teenage boy should, and who's trying to put on weight. And I was losing weight. And I didn't know why it was happening at the time, but I know now. So, and it was because I was such an active guy with all this circuit training I was doing. I think calorie counting is better for maintenance. You're already an athletic person, you have a normal amount of body fat, you can pay attention to your calories if you want. I think when you're trying to lose weight, your hormones play a bigger part because everything's sort of inflamed and out of whack when it comes to your systems. So you want to, I think, pay less attention to calories. This is newer science. This is what's been coming out in the last 10 years or so. So we want to pay attention to both calories and hormones. And it's not one or the other, it's both. Sometimes it's more dramatically more one than the other, but it still plays a factor. Each play a factor. So some people refuse to accept it's possibly both. We know hormones drive metabolism. If your thyroid is out, there's no way, if you have hypothyroidism and it's unmedicated, there's no way you're going to keep your weight down. And if you have hyperthyroidism, where your metabolism is too fast, it doesn't matter what you're doing, how much you're eating, how much you lie around and do nothing, you're going to lose weight. There was a guy I used to work with at the bars years ago, we called him Superman, because he looked like Clark Kent, he looked like Christopher Reeves. And all of a sudden, out of the blue, in his, I think, mid-late 30s, he developed hypothyroidism and he couldn't keep weight on. He lost like 20 or 30 pounds. He was doing everything. He was a picture of healthiness. He was jacked. He was thick and muscular, and he couldn't keep his weight on. Finally found out his thyroid was out. And here's a guy who was meticulous about his diet. So it shows. And I had the opposite problem, and that's why he came to me. He's like, tell me what this is like, because I've recently been diagnosed with this, and I was on the opposite end of the spectrum, but we had the same problem. But for now, I'm going to try and go through October and only have maybe ballpark 4,000 calories. I know I'm getting all the protein I need, so I'm going to see how that goes and see if I can still raise my muscle mass up by the end of this month, and see what happens with my fat as I'm doing that. Do you know those moving walkways at airports? So it's like an escalator, but it's just flat. Well, stand on one of these and it just slides you along the floor, just like an escalator would up a flight of stairs. You ever see people when they go to the gym, they've been going there for years and they don't even look like they work out? Well, why is that? Well, maybe they're not working out right, but most likely as well, their diet's off. And because their diet's off, they don't even have to be overweight, but you put a shirt on them and you never tell they've exercised. Maybe it's the quality of exercise they're getting. But if their diet was spot on and they're getting enough protein, they'd be able to build the muscle mass so that they'd at least look like they're going to the gym and putting all this work into it. So I go back to this escalator, this walkway analogy. If your diet's off, you're compromising your benefits of your exercise. You're doing all the hard work. You're going to the gym. You're doing all that lifting, all that training. But the problem is you can't see it. You might keep your weight managed, but you can't see it. You don't look athletic. Some of these people don't look athletic. So why is that? Well, they're not getting enough protein. And sometimes their exercise is forcing them to eat into their own protein in their body. So they're not getting all the benefits of the exercise because it's getting counterproductive. So you want to do a short enough workout, and I've gone on about that, but we want to do a short enough workout so that when you have a slow metabolism, like I have, that walkway, it's like it's turned around, and everyone else, you have another 10 people on either side of you, and we all start walking at the same time. People with normal metabolisms are walking, but when you have a slow metabolism, it's an uphill battle, and it's like that walkway is turned around and you're walking as fast as they are, but because it's going against you, you're not getting as much distance as everyone else is. So you're still putting in the exact same amount of work, but it's an uphill battle. So when you start balancing your protein with the exercise in your daily routine, which is what my goal is of what I'm doing, making sure to get enough protein to get me through my daily routine and my exercise routine so that I can put on muscle, that walkway starts to turn around. And it doesn't turn around so much, but it reverses. It's now at least not working against me. It's going to just stop working. At this point now, the longer I do this, what happens is I start doing better than those people who are doing all that exercise with their diets that are off. And now, because my diet's spot on and I've built up more muscle and bone density and I have a faster metabolism, what happens is now I'm walking with the walkway and now I'm walking faster. And now I'm going to catch up to all those people. That's how this works. Think of those walkways. Now you're starting to catch up with these people. The more you exercise properly and the more your diet is spot on and you're fueling your body properly, not so much with calories, paying attention to calories and making sure you're getting your macros in. That's the most important thing, is paying attention to the macronutrients, not the calories. Now you're walking on this walkaway that's on high speed. And that's where I was when I was a teenager, losing 10 pounds of fat a month. So that's what happens. You want to increase your metabolism and take that walkway, that powered walkway, and have it stop working against you. You'll eventually get to the point where that powered walkway is holding still, and now you can gain some ground. Then after a while of keeping it up, it'll be working for you. And then you'll have like this white hot metabolism, and everything you eat will just get fueled and moved properly through your body, and then your body will just start burning the fat effortlessly. And that's eventually the point where I'm going to get to. So my fat loss is going to be slow in the beginning of this, but eventually it's going to speed up. And it's going to speed up because my body fat's slowly going to go down and my metabolism is slowly going to raise. And my resting metabolic rate's going to keep raising. And eventually it's going to get to a tipping point where my weight's just going to go down so much. So that's the goal. So take care. We'll touch base in the next video.